Welcome, Pewter Report readers, listeners, and viewers to another edition of the Pewter Report podcast, energized by Celsius. I am John Ledyard from pewterreport.com. With me today to cover the biggest move of the day, of the week, of what, since the last time the Bucs signed a future Hall of Famer? I don't even know. I can't keep track anymore. Richard Sherman is a Buck, and Scott Reynolds is here to break it all down with me on this wonderful, glorious Wednesday in which the beat that we have, Scott, the opportunity we have to cover this team just keeps getting more fun. It's hard to put into words at this point. Sherman did practice with the Bucs today. I don't know how much we'll see him play, but we'll talk about that. We'll talk about his fit. We'll talk about the off-field issues as too, which are important to mention. We'll talk about all of that today on the show, as well as the ripple effect for Jamel Dean and Sean Murphy-Bunting. It's a full slate of content today at Peter.
Oh, yeah. This is a show not to miss. And I would be remiss if I didn't say this brings me back. This is like the glory days of 2002 again, where I'd walk into a Bucs locker room and it's like, who am I going to talk to today? Let's see. There's Warren Sapp and there's Keyshawn Johnson and there's Simeon Rice and there's Mike Allstott back there and gosh, there's Derek Brooks and over here comes John Lynch and there's Rondé Barber. I mean, it just was was a who's who. It was a Pewter Pro Bowl locker room. And and now the Buccaneers star power is even brighter. There's another star in Tampa that's going to shine, and I think Richard Sherman is here not just to help the team, but also to prove a point that he can still play in this league. Right. And John, you pointed out that his stats and his play, according to Pro Football Focus, in 2019 when he helped the 49ers get to the Super Bowl. I mean, just a stellar. Right. Stellar year for Richard Sherman. That was at age 31. Now he's 33. We'll see if he still has the magic.
Absolutely. There's plenty to get to in that front too. Hello to everyone in the chat. Mr. Smith, we need a vet in the secondary. Hear that. Charlie, bring the energy and the attitude. The second. Whoa, our look is way different here. This is kind of cool. I didn't realize that we changed the look there. I like it.
I didn't either.
Toby says Pat McAfee just used our tweet on the show. I have not seen Pat's show yet today. So I wonder what his show says. But Pat, appreciate it. Justin made it. Justin made it. Made it and caught us live today, Scott. That's a big deal. Yeah. Tyler says Sherman will hand out "You Mad Bro" t-shirts to the young secondary. I was actually thinking Brady should wear the t-shirt, Scott, as he goes into this next game. Like he should wear it going in off the bus or whatever. You know, everybody has something. Yep. He won't do that, but. Emily says hi. Greg says if only our team did something newsworthy. Good point, Greg.
Low times
never happens, right?
Waiting for this. Just another average game here on Sunday in New England.
Yeah. Bendix loves the Sherman signing. Great signing. What's up? What's up? Hello to everyone in the chat. Bucks Time 12. Philip, Cali Bucks. Good stuff. Very excited to get to this show today. And all brought to you by our friends over at Celsius, Scott.
It is, John. It is. I had the orange this morning.
And I forgot to grab one before I got ready for the show. I'm flying in the door from practice.
Got another one right here that I had yesterday.
Throw me one through the
Fuji apple pear. Here you go, John. Take that.
There you go. Thank you.
Fuji apple pear and orange. I've had these the last 2 days, and tasty treats for sure. And packed with energy. That's the thing, John, is when you're looking for that boost of energy without the crash, that's why I turn to Celsius. Because it doesn't have any sugar in it, and it's got essential energy, accelerates metabolism, it burns body fat, and it's pure energy for me that keeps me going. And with other energy drinks that I used to drink in the past, they would work great for an hour, and then you start to get that slow decline, and it's annoying, right? Because the whole point of getting the energy is to stay alert, stay awake, stay active. And when the crash comes, that's not good. Never had a crash. I've been drinking Celsius for, going on 2 years now. Never had a crash with Celsius. And if you want to know where you can get Celsius, well, I'm going to tell you. Go to Celsius.com. Click on the store locator and type in your address. You're going to have all sorts of health and fitness stores and convenience stores, grocery stores, etc. pop up. Then find those locations around you. Go grab a couple cans. Try the different flavors, because John, that's the thing about Celsius is it's not just an energy drink. It is a great tasting energy drink, and it comes in a variety of flavors. Tropical Vibes, one of the newest one, Peach Vibe, has been a huge hit with our audience. They've got the strawberry guava, all sorts of flavors, wild berry. And then once you find the flavors that you like, do yourself a favor. Go to Amazon, buy them in bulk, and save money with the subscribe and save. They ship them right to your door. And John, guess what? I just got a shipment today of Tropical Vibes. So I was out of that. That's a huge hit in my family.
Yes.
I'm the hero because I got some shipped via Amazon lickety split.
Right. Speaking of great taste, you got to try the Fast protein bars, caramel peanut crunch, the white chocolate cookies and cream. You got to do it. I'm telling you, these are the best tasting protein bars I have ever had in my life, Scott. I've been a protein bar connoisseur over my life. I've tried so many different kinds. I've not had one like this, and I don't think I know I won't stop eating these ones for any other protein bar. They are the best. So make sure, check out the Fast protein bars, and you can use the link actually in the YouTube description of this show to order yourself some with the discount price too. There's 2 more days for that, right, Scott?
20% off. Expires September 30th. So 2
more days for that. Yep. So hurry and do that.
Great grab and go snacks for the kids.
Ate one today on the way back from school. Yeah, from practice. Ate one today. All right, let's talk about Richard Sherman. Here we go. Let's first of all, Richard Sherman, 33 years old. And is that a concern for you, Scott? The age, he has been banged up a little bit. He's had significant injury in his past, Achilles, I believe. And then last year, it's kind of a calf strain for a while. Then he came back and played some games toward the end of the year, and just never 100%. It felt like, but it didn't feel like any real big injury. And so, what's your thought process on the age and how it affects the cornerback room that the Bucs have currently?
Well, the interesting thing about Sherman with those injuries is their lower body injuries, and that's a little bit of a concern as he's 33 years old, right? You're coming off an Achilles, but he was able to rebound from that with his stint in San Francisco, again turning in a fantastic year in 2019. He was the highest graded corner by Pro Football Focus that year, again helping the 49ers get to the Super Bowl where they lost to the Chiefs. They had a lead in the fourth quarter in that game. And you look at Sherman, started 15 games that season. In the regular season, he had 3 interceptions, including a pick 6. Trying to remember when that pick 6 happened. Oh, yeah, it happened at Raymond James Stadium in week 1 against Jameis Winston. The 49ers got up to a good start that year by beating the Bucs here in Tampa. So he's already had some success at Ray J. And finished with 61 tackles that year. He's a very good tackler, 2 tackles for loss, and then he had 11 pass breakups. So really that's the last full season we've seen from Sherman. As you mentioned, John, last year in San Francisco, played 5 games, still had 1 interception in an abbreviated, truncated season, 18 tackles, 2 tackles for loss. So it'll be interesting to see how fast he is, how much speed he's lost or retained. And the interesting thing is on his podcast, when he broke the news, he kind of talked about his speed and even wrote a story about it on pewterreport.com today, saying, is he fast enough or is he past his prime? And I believe we're going to figure out pretty quickly whether he is or not. And he probably won't play this Sunday. We'll get to that in a second. But he was asked about his speed, and he says enough to get the job done. When you play corner, whether you run 4.7 or you run 4.1, if you don't play your guy right, if you don't have the right technique, if you guess, you can get beat by 10 yards on a go route at any point in time. The same can be said if you run a 4.5. Xavier Howard had 10 picks last year to lead the league, and I'm pretty sure he's not a 4.3 guy. People overemphasize that. It's overrated in this league. Speed is important, Sherman continues, but everybody is fast enough to play. If you're out there, if you're a veteran, and you've made it through 4 or 5 years in this league, you're fast enough to get the job done. The rest comes down to anticipation and understanding body positioning, and I think I do that as well as anyone.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with Sherman's assessment there of himself. In general, for the corner position, I would say speed is very, very important. I'm somebody who will thumbs down at athletic testing at times because I don't think all athletic testing matters in all positions. But I'll say this, if you can play as cerebrally and with as much anticipation as Richard Sherman, yeah, you probably don't have to be that fast. Most people can't, so they need to be faster. Sherman never really has needed to be. I mean, there's not really a downside to Sherman, Scott. Like, there's no downside to this signing to me, if everything's good off the field and in the locker room, which I'm assuming that it is because Sherman has been exemplary in those, and especially in the locker room throughout his career. And already you could see from talking to Bucs players how much Jordan Whitehead was like beaming when we asked him the whole time. It was I feel like for Sherman now, it's going to be, this idea of how quickly can he get up to speed? Because in terms of what the Bucs need, like there's no question Richard Sherman is a great fit in Tampa Bay, especially considering they paid next to nothing for him. So there's no down the road cap hit. They had the space to do it this year. They got it done. They're not hurting themselves to sign him. He's, again, like everything that you want. He kind of already fits that bill, and especially in the scheme fit. Like he is experienced, cover 3, cover 4, playing deep zones, processing. He's a great tackler, very physical. It's probably take a little while to get back to speed with that. But I mean, he played last year or something. He played at the end of the year last year or something. Like it's not like he really hasn't played in that long.
Yeah. So, he just didn't have the benefit of training camp this year, of OTAs, of the preseason, just to kind of, get his feet wet again in the game of football, and to the point about speed that Sherman was talking about. Carlton Davis ran a 4.53 at the combine, right? He's not the most fleet of foot cornerback in the NFL or even in Tampa Bay. Jamel Dean's faster. He ran a 4.3, but Carlton Davis is the better corner. So speed does not always mean that you're a good corner. It helps in Madden, but in real world football, Carlton Davis is the best corner, and he might be the slowest corner. I mean, I guess Ross Cockrell probably, but
yeah, I mean, obviously athleticism always helps. It never hurts.
Yes.
That's always true, but it doesn't.
But it's not the end all be all.
Right. It's not the end all be all. It doesn't equal greatness. And same for a lack of athleticism. I mean, certainly it lessens your chances most of the time. There are very few corners other than Richard Sherman who have ever played that position in the last 20, 25 years that have tested the way he's kind of tested before, that have had nobody that's had his kind of career and that have even been starters in the NFL with his athletic testing. So he is an outlier, but he's been doing it for 10 years. So that part doesn't really even matter at this point because he's clearly proven that he can stay consistent as an outlier. You mentioned that 2019 season, the last full season that he played on the field, he was Pro Football Focus's #1 rated corner for the year. I think there's some context involved there because I would not say Richard Sherman shadowed #1 every single week. He did do it at times for sure. But I would say there's a difference in usage, but he's not going to do that in Tampa Bay either. So that part's fine in terms of translation. He had a 90.5 coverage grade for Pro Football Focus. He was targeted 61 times and only gave up 34 catches. That is just bonkers stuff. I mean, he's barely given up over 50% of his targets. That's just not unusual considering that a lot of targets aren't even going to be defended, but they're going to be allowed underneath. And you make tackles, especially as his own corner. He just makes a lot of plays on the ball, Scott. He did 13 pass breakups, I think, that year. He had 5 interceptions. 2 of those came in the playoffs. So, in the Super Bowl, certainly there was a couple down moments for him in the Super Bowl. That is always going to happen as a corner. But the guy's never had a below average season. He's never really had an average season. He's just always been good. He's always been consistent. He's always been good. And it's been within a scheme like this one. So there isn't like a huge he's always been good, but what happens if we do this with him? And now we don't know whether he'll be good or not. I just think you never know year to year with players when somebody's going to fall off, but there's nothing in Sherman's career that would suggest that he's due to do anything other than be a help to this team. At the very least, a help. It's higher end, it could be a huge impact.
Yeah, and I think too, when you look at the play, that's one thing on Sundays, but what he can do for the Buccaneers in practice is something else. I mean, he's as good as Carlton Davis is. This is his 4th year in the league. He has plenty he can learn from a guy like Richard Sherman, and I think that's probably been the detriment of the secondary. Maybe part of the reason why it hasn't lived up to its full potential at the cornerback position. While there's been some growing pains, that's only natural for any player in this league to go through growing pains. But this has almost been outside of Kevin Ross, it's kind of like a teach yourself how to play the position. Kevin Ross, I've got all the respect in the world for him as a cornerbacks coach. I was a huge fan of his growing up in Kansas City when he played for the Chiefs. He's a stellar cornerback in his day. But I think any coach, especially coaches that have played in this league like Kevin Ross has, they'll tell you it's beneficial to have another voice. The coach is the coach. But when you hear something from a player, you get the message in stereo then. Or sometimes you get something extra that you don't get from the coach. Because listen, the coach is, if he's having a one-on-one conversation with one guy, The other guys are just standing around waiting for further instruction. And that's the times, John, where you've got the veterans that will pull a guy aside and impart some wisdom, make a correction, share a tip or trick, a hack to help these guys grow up and get better quickly.
Right, for sure. And Bucks Time 12 says, still think they'll inquire into Gilmore a little based on Brady, and Gilmore was as good as Jalen pre-injury. Gilmore's not in consideration for the Bucks. A, cap space is an issue, but B, he's not considered. This is the move they made. They've made it. There's no Gilmore consideration for Tampa Bay, just to address it. Now, some other people wanted to know, let me see if I can find the comment. Greg's comment says, when is SMB scheduled to return? Let's dive into this a little bit, Scott, just in terms of the fit. We'll get to Sean Murphy-Bunting, so bear with us here, Greg. First, what's the fit like for Richard Sherman? Not in terms of the scheme. I think I've made it clear the scheme is a good fit for him. When the Bucs do their changeup, they go to press man. There's no off-man coverage. They're not like a ton of cover to get depth. There's where you have to be a little more athletic in some of those. There isn't that type of scheme, so it's a good fit for him schematically. He can bump into press man as needed against certain matchups. Obviously, he's not going to win all of them at his age, but there'd be certain matchups, a lot of teams, he's going to be able to be helpful for them. And he plays the ball really, really well in the air. That's a huge thing for this team too. Opportunistic for a Bulls defense is key. Let's look at it this way though. Carlton Davis has played about the last 2 years, 2019, 2020, has played about 80% of his snaps back. He has moved around at times, but usually just for a couple reps in a game when he's trailing somebody. We've seen him switch sides with Michael Thomas.
But he's usually there on that left side, though.
But he's usually, left side staple. And Richard Sherman has played about 95% of his snaps over the last couple of years, probably in his career too, but I just looked at the last couple of years on the left side. He doesn't really play ever in the slot, almost never plays on the right side. He's pretty much just a left side cornerback. So I asked Bruce Arians today, have you guys talked about that at all? Is that a big change? I don't even know. Is that a big change? I'll probably have somebody ask Todd Bowles about it tomorrow too. And he said, Carlton Davis is super flexible for us. He's going to move around. He's going to, he'll play. So it sounded like he would play the right side, Carlton Davis, and Richard Sherman would stay on the left side. I think that's smart and the way to go. Here's my question, Scott. While Sean Murphy-Bunting is out, which by the way, could be midseason, could be end of the season. We don't know yet at this point. The Bucs probably don't know.
It's really a week-to-week thing. Yeah, it really is with them.
So if he's out, who plays the slot for Tampa Bay? Is it Jamel? I mean, it can't be Jamel Dean. He's an outside corner.
It's
not Cockrell. Richard Sherman.
It's Ross Cockrell.
I think it's Carlton Davis, though. So does Ross Cockrell play over Jamel Dean? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because
I think
Sherman
he does.
If Sherman,
then Dean's over Dean.
So Dean becomes the fifth corner, you think? When Murphy-Bunting's back.
In this situation, yes. And
so the first outside corner, but you don't think Davis plays in the slot with Sherman and Dean outside? Sherman on the left side, Dean on the right side. I think
if Murphy-Bunting comes back, when he comes back, he becomes the nickel corner, and he might be the starter in base defense, depending on how Sherman plays. If Sherman plays as expected, you might see Sean Murphy-Bunting only come in nickel defense and have Sherman on one side and Davis on the other.
And Dean would be the fourth corner in that situation. He'd be the first sub on the outside. My question is before that happens, because they're probably going to be playing several more weeks without Sean Murphy-Bunting. I would guess. Before that happens, what do they do at the nickel spot? Because to me, there's no clear answer. Carlton Davis has barely played there in his career. Yeah. It's been situational. And he gave up a touchdown to Tyreek Hill there. I know it's Tyreek Hill. Yeah. Well, Devin White picked him off the route last week. Yeah. So that wasn't even necessarily a knock against him. But it's hard. I mean, Davis is clearly not a slot corner. Nothing about the way that he plays the game suggests he'd be a slot corner if you're playing man coverage. The other element to this, Scott, is that the Bucs are a pretty zone-heavy team. First 2 weeks of the season, they were about 75%, 80% zone, and a very small percentage of man coverage. Last week, and as we'd see, when they go up against a receiving core that's a little more loaded across the board, like they did with the Chiefs, like they did with the Packers, like they did with the Saints, they tend to say, okay, we're going to play a little bit more press man. And it didn't go well for them last week. Largely the injury was part of it, and there were some other things. But if they go to a man coverage scheme, I don't think against the Patriots, we're going to see them play a lot.
I like what Jason Russell says. I think that you get Mike Edwards on the field and you put him at safety.
But it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
No,
I agree.
Bowles has said, Winfield said, everybody said, Winfield's not moving.
I agree. But
Arians said, four guys get looks at nickel. Right.
That's what I would do.
I would think about it too. I think
Yeah.
Jason brings up a good point. I think you bring up a good point. I would think about that too, but it's not going to happen. So
the team has made the decision, right or wrong. Edwards cannot play the nickel on a full-time basis. When you see Edwards playing nickel, it's going to be how he was deployed against the Falcons situationally in underneath the zone, allowing him to have help over the top because he's just not as fleet as foot as even Ross Cockrell is. And guys like D. Delaney, although Delaney's more of an outside corner. But the anticipation that you've seen from Mike Edwards, that showed up on that interception where he stepped in front of Russell Gage, picked off the pass, playing that shallow zone where his lack of speed is not going to be exposed as much.
That's my question then. If they're going to play more zone heavy moving forward, look at some of the quarterbacks they usually when they fit the top tier guys, they're like, all right, like now we're gonna. And now I wonder if with Mac Jones, like we're gonna play zone, we're gonna bait them into mistakes, we're gonna make them read out the defense. Man coverage, you kind of can decide pre-snap where you're going with the football, and that's why Bowles doesn't like it. Now it might be hard to complete if you guys can't get open, but you know a little bit easier where you should go with the football against man coverage. Against zone, you should read it out a little bit more. You have to wait a little bit, gives the pass rush more chance. I think you're going to see a zone heavy Buck team all the way up, most of the rest of the season probably, given their matchups. And I wonder if Edwards could then be an option in the slot.
I think
maybe I just can't let it go. Maybe I can't let it go.
It's going to be a situation like when they want to blitz. I think that he'll be in there in that position to blitz. I think you want him blitzing rather than Ross Cockrell. And you saw what happened when he did. He and Davis both came on outside blitzes from the slot, essentially. Although I think Carlton was on the weak side of the field. So both of those guys came. That's why Mike Edwards was able to catch Carlton Davis's tip pass against the Falcons, because he was blitzing from the slot. So I still think you're going to see a little bit of Mike Edwards there, but you're not going to see a whole bunch. But really what this does is this to me is kind of a damning move against Jamel Dean. And if I were Jamel Dean, I would play really, really well on Sunday. He was back out of practice today, which is encouraging, but I would play very,
Plus,
very
he got
well
roasted up. He got roasted up in this matchup last year. Remember Nelson Aguilar, who is now on the Patriots, obviously? Yeah. That was one that got him a couple times, actually. So, so this is a good game to show how much he's grown.
Well, he's going to have to, because he did not have a good game against Dallas. He rebounded with a good game against the Falcons, although they really had Calvin Ridley and not much else a wide receiver. Russell Gage was limping around the entire game, so the Falcons didn't have a whole bunch of weaponry. And then all of a sudden, he drops that interception, which was damning. That could have been a huge game changer in the first quarter for the Bucs. Then he hurts his knee, was not able to come back in the game, yet he's able to practice. So maybe it's a bruise or an MCL sprain, whatever it is. But he's got to really play well. Otherwise, he could be the forgotten man pretty quickly in Tampa Bay with Sherman's addition, because he is strictly an outside corner. He is not a nickel. And if Sherman plays well, it'll be those two guys, Davis and Sherman. And then lo and behold, when Sean Murphy-Bunting comes back, Murphy-Bunting could be an option on the outside and certainly an option on the inside of nickel.
Yeah, the Murphy-Bunting comes back, that part's kind of easy for me to figure out, I think, a little bit in terms of, we're going to, we'll probably, if Sherman does what everybody kind of expects him to do, he'll be one corner, Davis will be the other if he stays healthy, and then we'll have Sean Murphy-Bunting in the slot, and Naz will be your three. It's until he comes back that and I agree with you. Dean needs to play well this week. He'll probably still split snaps or at least get to play a good bit with the following week 5. But Robert Farmer, really appreciate the $5 super chat, says maybe Sherman can teach our cornerbacks about leverage and discipline. Should we trade Rojo for more DB depth on top of this move? No, I think they're pretty good at DB. I think having another outside corner. I mean, they were contacted Richard Sherman in week 1, Scott.
They've signed three corners. They got Pierre Desir. They got Rashad Robinson.
And Desir can play, by the way. That's another reason why Dean has to play well. I mean, Desir, he's played. He's a player. I think Robinson could be the guy maybe getting cut, or maybe they keep those guys in the practice squad. I don't know how that's going to work exactly.
I think he was a gunner on special teams on Sunday, if I saw him on the punt unit. So,
So we'll see what they want to do in terms of the amount of corners that they want to keep. But no, I think they're all set at corner. But here's the thing, Scott. We're going to act like this is just Sean Murphy-Bunting's injury, right? And we're going to act like, Jamel Dean kind of got banged up the other day. And Bruce Arians even said today, it's kind of like when we got Antonio Brown in last year. Everybody was kind of healthy and coming back, but we felt like everybody was kind of nicked up, and are they going to stay healthy all year? And we get aches and pains. And I hear all that. I'm not saying that's not part of it. It's clearly part of it. But if the Bucs felt like super confident about Jamel Dean and Sean Murphy-Bunting, they wouldn't have contacted Richard Sherman in week 1. Like, even if Sean Murphy-Bunting, if he doesn't get hurt week 1, maybe, but
and I think that's
if they felt confident in Dean, especially.
Yeah, that's a great point you mentioned, because Jason Light reached out to Richard Sherman and started these discussions week 1 after Murphy-Bunting's injury. And you have to wonder, John, if Murphy-Bunting was healthy and it was Jamel Dean that was injured week 1, would there be as much concern in Tampa Bay by Jason Light? Because Dean is the number 3 corner. I mean, Murphy-Bunting is the clear number 2 in Tampa. Say what you want about his game, but I'm just saying that's the case. So when you've got your number 2 corner out and you don't feel really great about your number 3 and Dean, I think that is really what prompted the move. And Jason Light got on the ball quickly after the SMB injury on Thursday Night Football. David Melnick has an interesting take. I'll take Marlon Mack any day over Rojo. Mack is a Tampa guy too, South Florida. The Bucs liked Marlon Mack coming out of the 2017 draft. Matter of fact, the 2 running backs they really liked in the middle of the draft. I wish they would have gotten one of them, because they settled for Jeremy McNichols in the 5th round. That didn't work out too well. They waited too long for a running back. But they liked Kareem Hunt in the 3rd round an awful lot. It was a toss-up between Chris Godwin and Kareem Hunt. They chose Godwin, and I think they chose correctly, as Godwin's the franchise player right now. The other guy was Marlon Mack, who went in the 4th round to Indianapolis. He is in the trading block. Ronald Jones, we've been hinting at it for a while now, John. I've been writing about it. We've been talking about it on the podcast. Ronald Jones is not going to re-sign in Tampa after this year. Don't think the Bucs. I think the Bucs are ready to move on from him. Doesn't mean they're going to trade him right now, but it's interesting. I would be in favor of trading Rojo and trading for Marlon Mack, because I think Mack is better on 3rd downs. I think he's a better pass catcher. He's not the answer at running back, but I think that he's certainly not as predictable. And I think that's the problem with Tampa Bay, is now when you have Ronald Jones come in the game, there's a real predictability, and there's a reason why he got dropped for a loss, I believe on his last carry or second to last carry out there in LA, John, because it's automatic run blitz or pass blitz time when he's in the game. When he's in the game, they're gonna fill all those gaps. They're gonna load the box, and they're either gonna come at you if it's a play action pass, or they're gonna try to get a tackle for loss, because Ronald Jones is gonna be running into some seriously loaded fronts.
Yeah,
because of his lack of pass protection and ability to catch the ball.
I'm not opposed to trading Ronald Jones. I mean, I'm not, it's all about his mental state, and coaches know that better than I do. But I don't know. I definitely am not pumped up about Marlon Mack as an option. He's had significant issues on 3rd downs, very similar to Ronald Jones in terms of being able to be a reliable receiver, being able to be trusted to be used in that role for sure. It's kind of, he's barely played since 2019. His pass protection, he's been bottom tier in the league at that as well.
And that too, I think is why the Colts went out and got Nyheim Hines too, was to be more of a factor on 3rd downs. I'm just saying that Marlon
drafted
Mack,
Jonathan Taylor, and
I think Marlon Mack is better than Ronald Jones in that area, but no, he's not the answer by any means.
Right, and maybe that's not a big deal, because they've got 2 guys. Maybe they just need somebody who's going to be capable, and maybe he's capable. He's certainly run well in his past. I don't think there's any question about that. I would have to go back and look at that 2019 scheme and see what it looked like compared to the Bucs, and if that would be a good fit. Either way, I think we probably both agree this is pretty unlikely to happen. He's very cheap, and that's the only reason you're trading. Trading probably a 7th for him. Listen, if that, it's not much.
I'm not going to bet that this happens. Okay,
you're definitely not trading Rojo for him. Let's put it that way. Rojo almost had 1,000 yards last year. Matt hasn't played since 2019. I think you'd be trading a 7th for him.
Right. I would not put money down on either one of these trades. But if I were to put money down, if I were to make a bet, John, you know where I would do it.
Oh, I know. MyBookie.ag.
I would do it at MyBookie.ag. Yes. Tom Brady returns to New England for the biggest game of the year. The stakes have never been higher at MyBookie. Whether you're backing New England or Tampa Bay this Sunday, the game is always more exciting when I've got money on it at MyBookie. get in on the action and take this game to a whole new level. At MyBookie, both teams are sporting top defenses. Well, maybe one of them right now. We'll see. And nobody knows each other better than Brady and Belichick. Slow and steady will win this race. Smart money bets the under. Don't wait around. Join MyBookie now and bet on the biggest game of the season. Use the promo code Pewter to double your first deposit. Again, the promo code is Pewter, Pewter, to get double your first deposit with MyBookie and start your winning season today. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere at MyBookie. And John, I have already made my bets for the week. I'm not going to share all of them with you because I went a little crazy in college, but I did number. And so it's not a huge money line. I think last time I looked, it was like plus 360. So I made a modest bet there, not as big as I did in previous years. But one that I did like, and I got in on it early, was the Bucs minus 6.5. Now that line's gone to -7. But I like the Bucs big this week in a bounce back game for the Bucs defense against a rookie quarterback in Mac Jones without James White, and with a laser focused Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski coming to New England on Sunday night.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the way to go. And I think that you're right on that bet, but I also will say this: New England is going to be pretty tough. This is going to be a walk in the park. There were some other things kind of said today. Oh, before I get to those things, got to shout out Elliot with the great memory here, reminiscing in John's battle plan where he signed Jamal Williams. I was reminiscing about this just the other day, Elliot, when I saw Jamal Williams absolutely truck stick one of the Packers linebackers on a blitz, and I was just like, I love this guy, man. Everybody who plays with him loves him too. Like Aaron Rodgers just like gushing about him on Pat McAfee show, just like, I love that guy playing with him, his joy, his energy.
Apparently we got some love on the Pat McAfee show today too.
Yeah, that's the word. Britt just sent me the tweet actually, so it was one of our tweets about Richard Sherman. But
which one was it?
It was one about let me see. It was Richard Sherman said him and Tom Brady are the same in some regards in the sense that they're both obsessed about the game. That is something Sherman talked about today. He said that he and Brady both are like kind of obsessive to it sometimes a degree where they need to pull back too. He mentioned talk about an insightful dude. Oh my gosh. Like I'm hoping that we get the quote sent over from the media relations. Yeah, for the Buccaneers from Sherman today, because man, he had some unbelievable things to say, Scott. And obviously like that July incident with him was, really unfortunate one. And obviously he made some serious mistakes then, but he just kind of owned it, man. Like, and he was just like, I got the help that I needed. And he talked about the impact therapy has had for him and the tools that it's given him. And he also talked about the beauty and the freedom that comes from the transparency of sharing your struggles and then seeing other people come and say, hey, that's my struggle too. And I've never shared it. And kind of, that stuff bonds people. And he talked about the freedom that comes from just being able to admit the truth and seek out the help that you need. And oh man, I think I have long been, I'm not even going to lie, like I never thought I'd be covering him, but I'd long been one of the biggest Richard Sherman fans as a person, and obviously the July incident was unfortunate for what it is for sure, but it's great to hear him talk about how he and his wife are in a great place and how much of an encouragement she's been to him as he's been going through this process of getting right. And it was like the transparency and the honesty and the vulnerability and the openness about weaknesses and areas he needs to grow that honestly, like we wish we'd seen from Antonio Brown at any point during Antonio Brown stuff, and the refreshingness of the way Sherman conducted himself, and it was just really cool to see today. And I just hope, best to him as he's on that path as somebody who's made tons of those mistakes, being able to own it, being able to grow from it and get serious about that part, man. I just really respect that about him. So I think the Bucs are getting a real gem as a person because he's willing to look in the mirror and see those things. And I think he does the same thing with his game. And it's one of the reasons why he's such a perfectionist and so obsessive. And so I'm just kind of excited about that part of what he brings to the community and the culture. And hopefully that he stays on that track and that's real for him and that continues to happen.
I like the fact that he's going to get the stank off the Josh Freeman number 5 jersey personally. That's what I like. He's gonna do number 5 right.
I got the funniest. I can tell you it's from people that don't know. I got the funniest text today from somebody who sent me a picture of Josh Freeman, wearing the number 5 or whatever, and they were like, This guy already got his Richard Sherman jersey.
Yeah, that's right.
It was great. But
speaking of 5, William Butler, thank you. What's the word on AB? Let's do a little injury update. We had some people asking about Gio, John. What's the word on AB? You were out there at practice today with Matt Matera.
Yeah, AB is going to be back tomorrow. I believe that's the end of his 10 days.
Yeah.
Bruce said. So I guess maybe then Tuesday was Wednesday was announced, or Tuesday was the day it he was tested probably. So Wednesday was the day we found out, I guess. And so, yeah, I guess it'll be 10 days. I don't know. Yeah. But anyway, so that also implies that he's asymptomatic. You have to be asymptomatic after the 10 days. So AB probably was asymptomatic through this, or at least is right now. So the good sign for him being able to get back to 100% this week. Also, Jamel Dean practiced. I think we may have mentioned that earlier in the show. Yep. Jamel Dean practiced in full today. I believe Aaron said in full. He definitely practiced. Said he was sore, but he should be good to go for this week. So even if Sherman isn't ready to play. And then Rob Gronkowski, Giovanni Bernard, and I'm forgetting someone. Jason Pierre-Paul did not practice today. Think the expectation is still that Gronkowski is going to be able to play. Just probably
I don't think he's going to miss this game. Yeah.
No, I don't think so either.
He's going to get Veteran Week. He'll show up on Sunday and play. Yeah. Instead of Veteran Day, where like a veteran gets a day off, he'll get Veteran Week. That's okay.
We'll see on Giovanni Bernard. That's a big one for this week, I think. And then because the Patriots linebackers in coverage, you could see it last week if you watched. I think that's a question mark. And then the other one is Jason Pierre-Paul, who he said earlier in the week he didn't think would be good to go, and so I guess we'll expect to see him. They didn't put him on injured reserve, so I would assume that they believe they can get him back by at least week 5. So we'll see how that goes. Big Earn with the $10 super chat. Big Earn.
Appreciate super chats.
This defense is comparable to last season. There were a lot of lumps we took. That Super Bowl put blinders on me to a lot of it. Sherman was the third most burned cornerback in front SMB. So there's that. I don't know what that means. Third most burned cornerback in front of SMB. I will say this about what Big Earn said there. There were a lot of lumps that the Bucs took during the regular season. It made what they did in the playoffs, I should say, after the Washington game in the playoffs, that much more surprising. But this is why somebody actually mentioned it. I saw that comment at the beginning here, like John's nickname should be sample size. I guess I must have written sample size in my article or something. But I just am a huge believer.
It all the time.
Right. I'm a huge believer
you
that
it matters. Saying it too.
Right. I mean, you can't properly evaluate something and make a definitive statement off a small sample size most of the time, unless, you could get a player who's out there totally unathletic, falling all over themselves, and you could say, I don't know if he's going to play in the NFL. But once you get to the NFL level, it is hard to make conclusive statements at this level where the plane is here and everybody is kind of this good without larger sample sizes. And so that's why their overreaction to Bowles, we went from should he be fired after the Washington game, literally, then national media. I'm not talking about Bucs people. I'm talking about national media to, wow, the Lions totally screwed up not hiring him as a head coach after the Super Bowl. And it's just like 3 games, no matter how good they are, cannot do that to you. Like,
that's right.
It can't. And so we're seeing that again, kind of some of the struggles that happened in the regular season come back up, and we'll see something. He's not a bad DC. Is he an obvious like star head coach waiting to happen for a second time around? I totally disagree with that. I don't think that I would not see him that way at all, but we'll see. Crazier things have happened. And, I think that,
let's not forget what it was, a 3-game week 4, right? The Chargers came to town, rookie quarterback, Justin Herbert. And they had a 2-touchdown lead, 17-point lead at one point in time against Tampa Bay. And they just shredded the secondary. Sean Murphy-Bunting got beat twice. He was banged up at the time. He got healthier as the season went on. We saw a completely different Sean Murphy-Bunting in the postseason than we did during the regular season. So we'll see. We'll see what happens and how this secondary gets healthier as the season goes on. Hopefully not more banged up, and improves. Hopefully it does improve.
Right. I want to also talk to people today, Scott, about a little thing we call Underdog Fantasy and some of the awesome stuff that they have going on right now. I think I've talked to people about the fact that right now, if you use that promo code Pewter, you can get $10 credit to play right now. And they've got the pick'ems going on, the pick'em games over at Underdog Fantasy. You could select over or under on player stat lines, get a pick 2 correct, and you can triple your money. Get a pick 5 correct, and you can win 20 times the amount of money you enter with. It's simple. Go to underdogfantasy.com or download their app, sign up with the promo code Pewter, Pewter. Build that pick'em in seconds. They're going to give you free $10 when you sign up with that first deposit. So download that Underdog Fantasy app, sign up with that promo code, and go Pewter, Pewter to get that $10 credit. You can also use that $10 of credit in their Best Ball Resurrection League. It's an NFL midseason best ball tournament. The entries are $10, and you can do a bunch more, by the way, if you want. $100K in total prizes are being given out right now. There's 11,000 entrants right now, I believe, into this thing, and first place gets $20,000 for free. You can enter this. You can enter a chance to win $20,000 for free. All you have to do is sign up. You may make a deposit, but you only have to put in $10, and they give you the 10 to play. So you can take your money back out if you wanted.
Like free money right there.
But why not just keep playing, right? And use do the pick'ems. That's the way to go.
It's a fun website. It really is.
It's awesome. Yeah. The best ball tournaments coming back in the season are sweet. That's a really creative, fun idea that they're doing. So make sure you check those things out with Underdog Fantasy. All right, Scott, the other element of today that was a little bit interesting was Jordan Whitehead is said today that he's ready to go. He's ready to be 100%. He's played like kind of sparingly last 2 weeks. Is it just trying to get Mike Edwards on the field more? There's some they played together in week 2. It feels like, to me, very counterproductive to take. I mean, it's time we start giving Jordan Whitehead. Like
Jordan Whitehead's in a contract year and wants to play.
Yeah, and also, like, he's pretty good. Like, yeah. I mean, early on, he definitely struggled in his career, and you have to shelter his role maybe some, but he's pretty freaking good, Scott. Like, he makes plays on the ball. He's good in zone coverage.
Here's what I say about Whitehead and how I've seen his game evolve. He's either solid or spectacular. You don't really get bad games from Jordan Whitehead, you know. And
not anymore.
I think, and listen, that's a huge plus, because when you're not a Pro Bowl caliber star player that is going to give you, 14 games of brilliance out of 17 in a season, if you can get 7 brilliant games and then 10 solid games out of a player like Jordan Whitehead, that's a fantastic season. That's a great season for him, and it's going to allow him to get paid in Tampa or somewhere else. But the thing is him staying healthy, because he is pound for pound probably the toughest guy on the roster, and that's not coming from me. That's coming from the players. They'll tell you that. They love the way this guy plays, but he's not the biggest guy. But man, he plays like he's about 30. He thinks he's 30 pounds heavier and 3 inches taller than he is.
He's a player I would love to have him back if I were Tampa Bay.
He thinks he's Harrison Smith, right? And he plays like it sometimes. But it's just him staying healthy, and he's had some of those issues, but it's because he plays so hard, and so that's just the collateral damage that you play when you play that hard. And I think that's probably the biggest attribute I can say about Whitehead is he plays hard all the time. And
you're not going to put him maybe in certain situations all the time, but man, he's great around the line of scrimmage. He reads his keys in the run game as well as one of the Bucs linebackers. He tackles extremely well.
It seems like Todd Bowles really has a good feel for how to use him, right? I mean, out of all of the 11 chess pieces that he has at his disposal at one time, it seems like Jordan Whitehead is a guy that down in, down out, Todd Bowles knows how to use.
Yeah, exactly. He's very physical, one of the best tacklers in the team. You can blitz him, great in the run support, great around the box, great in the flats. So he just basically what I'm saying is he just needs to play 100% of the snaps. Yeah. Like I don't even like the game as much as I've caped for Mike Edwards. I don't like the game of playing, let's play Edwards, 35% just to say we got him on the field and maybe makes a big play. We'll, roll the dice and put him out there. And let's take Jordan Whitehead off the field. To me, it's just like play Whitehead. And if you play Edwards as much as you feel like he's physically capable of playing in the matchup each week, I think he's physically capable of being the nickel in this team for as much as for the fit in the scheme that they run. Yeah. If they disagree, they have a lot of insight into it too. Fine, then
especially if they're playing zone with safety help over the top. I think that is where you can really get away with playing Edwards in the slot.
True. Yeah. Or play Winfield in the slot. Take Devin White off the field on passing downs. Take a defensive lineman off the field and put Devin White at the line of scrimmage and put Jordan Whitehead a linebacker next to Levante David. But get your best players on the field all the time defensively. And the fact that Edwards and Whitehead, I think we would both say, are two of the better players, or at least opportunistic. They should be guys that play the majority of your snaps when you're a team in the situation the Bucs are in, defensive back wise, and that's not happening. So I think if Whitehead says he's ready, and he really is ready, then he should
play
be
him
out
as much as you can. I agree. John, I hate to be the bearer of bad news for our audience. It is Wednesday, and sometimes we have a segment called Leonard.
That's true.
And
Sometimes
we
we
have a new segment called Ronald. But today, no Leonard and no Ronald because they didn't play much last week.
That's right. I was going to say they hardly played. So
Yeah.
I didn't, yes, I watched the tape and there were definitely a few Leonard runs that made me like, come on. But there was nothing that warranted the segment this week. So we'll spare them this week.
At the same time, to be fair, we have also played some of their highlights when they've done well. So sometimes Leonard and Ronald can be very positive segments. It all depends on how they play.
It's true. I mean, when Leonard in the playoffs we played, it was almost all
right.
positive.
It was.
Yeah, we're not going to change the narrative if they play overwhelmingly well, for sure.
Yes.
We'll ride with it. But they didn't really do anything that bad or that good in this game. So
we were kind of busy today. Let's be honest.
That's true too. Yes, I did watch all the offensive tape though. I am through it. I did see it. I did not feel like there were any plays. I forgot to tell you, but there were no plays worth. I don't want to stretch it to make them look bad. On a play,
exactly.
Okay. But I will say this, Scott, while you won't have the fun of the Rojo and Lenny segment maybe this week because of their play, you can get another little piece of fun here with our friends over at Dave & Buster's Estuary Lakes Drive down in Tampa, or at any Dave & Buster's location near you. Dave & Buster's fall football campaign is off and running, and it is going extremely well. If you know anything about Dave & Buster's or what's going on with them recently, you're talking about a new menu, you're talking about new looks across a lot of Dave & Buster's, way more screens. They've expanded kind of their atmosphere. It's just terrific for game days. It's a great place to watch the game, to take it all in, or go down there college football weekend. That's the best time, right? Because you get to go down there and there's college games on all the different screens, and they have so many, you can watch those games at all times. So make sure you
can
get
watch
down there.
Games, football games, and you can play games. It's the best of both worlds, John.
Look, there's our Matt Matera right there playing some games, and his girlfriend Sadie, and they're just having a great time.
I can kick his ass in skee ball though.
Can you? We're gonna have to get a Pewter Report group.
I can throw down some skee ball and some air hockey. Those are my two games.
Okay, all right. We'll have to get some Pewter Report group outing going out there, perhaps. But check out Dave & Buster's. Here's the deal though with Dave & Buster's: $200 gift card is on the table for you to be able to win. How can I do that, John? It's very, very easy to be one of the people trying to win this gift card. All you have to do is go click on the link to an Instagram post in this description of this YouTube show. That's all you have to do. Click on that, and it'll make you like it. You tag 2 friends in it. You follow Pewter Report and Dave & Buster's, and that's it. Like, you're entered in to win a $200 gift card without having to do anything. Again, we're just giving you opportunities to make money and have opportunities to do fun things. So go enter that with nothing to really do there. Just enter that contest really quickly and help us out and help yourself out to get a chance to win a Dave & Buster's gift card. So pretty cool stuff from Dave & Buster's. Here's today's injury report, Scott. You ready?
I'm ready.
Giovanni Bernard did not participate. Carlton Davis still with the abdomen and ribs, but was a full participant.
Yeah.
Jamel Dean was a limited participant. So even though Arian sounded pretty optimistic and dismissive, he was a limited. Chris Godwin's on the report, full participant with a thumb injury.
Yeah.
Rob Gronkowski didn't participate because of his ribs. Jaden Mickens was back today with a helmet pads. Mm-hmm. He had the abdomen injury. He was a limited participant today. Yeah. And then Jason Pierre-Paul was a shoulder injury, did not participate. Yeah. Then for the Patriots, Henry Anderson, a rotational defensive lineman for them. Ankle injury, he was limited. Jawan Bentley, a linebacker for them. Shoulder was limited. Trent Brown, their right tackle, I believe, was limited with a calf injury. Then their left tackle, Isaiah Wynn, was limited with a knee. He's been injured a lot in his career. Nick Folk, their kicker, was limited with the left knee. Josh Uche had a back injury, their pass rusher, linebacker player, limited participant. Cal Van Noy with a groin, and James White was limited as well. And James White did not participate with a hip.
He's actually limited. He's on injured reserve. They put him on injured reserve.
Did they move him? Because they must not have before this practice. But I thought, did they just move him?
Our esteemed colleague J.C. Allen, who has an eye on the Patriots for some reason, said that he went up to injured reserve, and not just James White, but also Scotty Miller went on injured reserve today for the Buccaneers. With that
good point. So many things happening today. We just forgot to even mention that.
Yes.
Forgot to even mention that Jaden Mickens was back in a limited role practice today. He looks like he could be good to go for this week. Prime time this week. Yes, Vegan Buccaneer. Let's talk about this prime time deal with everything we got going on here at Pewter Report. we are going to be prime time. We're going to be out at Whiskey Wings, aren't we, Scott? Prime time with pregame at Whiskey Wings Sports Bar and Grill in Temple Terrace.
Look at
the address is right there.
Sandwich.
Yes, look at that.
You've had the sandwich, John.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing too. It's so good. I actually really want one right now. But
that buffalo chicken sandwich. If you're listening rather than watching the podcast, it's not a small bun, folks. That's a regular size bun. It's just that the buffalo chicken that they use is just supersized. It literally does not fit on the bun. It's really like you need 2 buns for the size of that sandwich, but then who wants 2 buns? That's just too much bread.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's this big in real life. Like that's really, it's bigger, I think, actually, when I got it. So great food. They have great deals going on there all night, all throughout the week. It's a great place to come out and watch this game, watch this primetime game, outdoor bar, indoor, tons of screens, lots of games to play as well. Great clean atmosphere there. The food is great. The service is great. The people are everybody I've dealt with there has been so nice, so friendly, so accommodating. And then the Pewter Report crew is going to be out there. They got beer there. No question about that. Yeah. And so Sunday night we'll be out there. We'll pregame show, 6:30, right? We're starting 6:30 pregame show.
Yes.
JC Allen, Casey Hudson will be out there on location. We'll have Pewter Report stuff set up out there, T-shirts,
giveaways. We got free Pewter Report swag we're giving away.
Pewter Report swag, Celsius swag, my bookie swag. We've got all kinds of stuff. You can come out, load up, see us, say hi, get something to eat, get something to drink. It's going to be a great time. Listen to the live show, watch the live show. It's going to be a great time before Bucs Patriots kick off, and then watch the game. It's just going to be a great atmosphere to watch the game and have a good time. So head on over to Whiskey Wings Temple Terrace. We'll be out there as well, and you can say hi to the Pewter Report crew. All right, Scott, what else from today? Anything else from today before we wrap up the show? Oh, I know what I wanted to say.
Okay.
We'll hit this for the last couple minutes here. Bill Belichick said today, I'm going to have an article coming out about this tomorrow. I've already interviewed a couple different people that know, but Bill Belichick said today, when what was surprisingly transparent quote to me from Bill Belichick, he said that the offense Brady is running right now in Tampa Bay is essentially, he said it's 100% what they was running in New England, and that it still bears his imprint. Yeah. And that what was the last thing he said? He said you could basically call the protections and the flare control, all these kind of things, like you could call all of it, and it's the same of what they did in New England, he said. And so
I don't buy it.
I was pretty surprised by that.
And the reason why I say that is because there's so many vertical elements to this Bruce Arians passing game that just were not in the playbook. Now, maybe they were back when Charlie Weiss was calling plays and he had Randy Moss to throw the deep ball to, but certainly over the last couple of years, they have not had a player in New England that could consistently stretch the field. I mean, Philip Dorsett might have been the closest one, right? And they had Brandon Cooks for a minute, but they just have not had that vertical element in New England. Yeah. And so maybe Belichick's thinking back in the past, but certainly the last couple of years of Brady, there's some similarities, some concepts. I mean, gosh, like every NFL offense has a slant, right? It has a hitch, a comeback, different personnel groupings, different deployments. But I think systematically we're talking about 2 different approaches here.
Yeah, and if you've ever wondered, about, is it the same offense? Are there similarities? Check out the article tomorrow on PewterReport.com. I interviewed our Paul Atwell. I gave some great insight for this. Obviously, I've got some knowledge on this too. And then Mark Schofield, who you've seen on the show many times, who has studied Tom Brady, the Patriots, Belichick, and Bruce Arians. Probably the combination of those things has probably a better grasp on that than I would put his grasp on that up against anybody not in the league right now, just because I think he has such great understanding and ability to step back and see it from a distance. And those guys gave some great insight and quotes. But I'll say this, there's enough concepts and overlap between most offenses, but also these 2 offenses. And there always has been, by the way. There's not something that suddenly changed. The Bucs didn't really change a lot of their concepts. They changed things about how they perform those concepts, like play action, more motion, things like that, for sure. But the concepts themselves have remained mostly the same, with some new added things like every team does every year. Sure. And we've seen already a few this year. But there's just enough differences that what Belichick said is like kind of noticeably wrong. Like, just not accurate. And so why did he say it? Because Belichick obviously knows. Yeah. So why did he say it? Is it a dig at Arians? It's kind of been low key, but Arians has dug Belichick a few times over the last year. Like, I don't know that it's been intentional. Right. I don't know what kind of chip they have, but like, you remember last year, there at least twice where he said, something about how the Bucs have handled something that Brady liked, and they didn't handle it that way in New England.
Yeah,
he made like
also
a comment about that.
Right. He also said that, we let Brady coach down here,
Right. That kind of comment,
right? Like things like that. Greg DeCruz asked, is Scott going to place a bet that Brady breaks passing yards record with a TD pass to Gronk? Well, that would certainly be storybook, wouldn't it? I mean, not for the Patriots fans watching, but for those two, that certainly awesome. would be awesome to get a record-breaking tutty, right, in the place where they started their careers. That would be something. So I don't have like a smooth transition because we've already done the My Bookie segment about betting. So I really can't do that. But when you're talking about money, there is another place to go to, and it's these guys. Yes.
At A-Muni Financial, we help you live in the now.
Congratulations. We're so happy for you.
Thank you.
And even though the now may feel very different, you still need to plan for the future.
How's retirement treating you? Oh, just fantastic.
I know I say it all the time, but you really got to come up to Colorado.
Let's do it. All right. Yeah.
We can help you develop that plan to keep you on track so you can still prepare for tomorrow, today. A-Muni Financial. Plan ahead, stay ahead.
Managing your family's wealth means more to A-Muni Financial than anything. It's allocating your assets, right? It's legacy planning, brokerage and advisory services, retirement accounts, college savings accounts, and insurance services. With over 40 years of experience, let A-Muni Financial help you plan ahead and stay ahead. Give A-Muni Financial a call at 1-800-868-6864 or visit amuni.com. And John, I'm happy to say that not only are they an advertising sponsor of the Pewter Report podcast and pewterreport.com, I'm also a client. I was blown away by their pitch, their expertise in this field, that I've got the majority of my financial investments at A-Muni Financial. They're over in St. Petersburg. They're a local company. I've known Dave and Mark for years, and really satisfied with the type of returns I'm getting on my investments at A-Muni Financial.
Yeah, that's great. It's awesome stuff. People should definitely check out A-Muni Financial and the stuff they do. Hard to have people you can trust with your money, and I appreciate that about you guys. When you're saying you could trust them, I believe you, and I think that's something people should look into for sure. So, I am a little still perplexed by Belichick's comment here, but what was funny to me is, he gets asked like 50 times, how are you going to manage your emotions, between Brady and
does he have any emotions?
Like, come on, he's like, you guys cover the Patriots.
You
cover the Patriots every day.
They're on to the Buccaneers this week,
What did they think he was going to say? But it actually came up today to me. Another guy who's pretty emotionless, I feel like, during pressers is Mike Evans for the most part. I am like constantly I think it's hilarious the way Mike Evans kind of like he sits down for a minute. It's just like this is like he just has his body language like I got to do this again. But then his answers don't sound anything like that. But he must have been asked like 3 times in some different way today what it would feel like to catch the pass from Brady. That if it's a long one for a touchdown, what it would feel like if you're the receiver that breaks the record. Yeah. It's just like, come on.
I'm sure there's probably a prop bet somewhere, and probably on my bookie that who's going to be the Buccaneer to catch that. So that's going to be interesting to see on Sunday. What you be sure. like OJ Howard or Cam Braid or Tyler Johnson or somebody that just happens to be in the game as a replacement player and ends up being a part of history.
Right, for sure. Brian says, as much as I like Ledger, thank you, Brian, the amount of advertising is out of control. Hey, listen, Brian, if you would like to send us checks for the amount that our advertisers
That's true.
If
we
you
want to know,
how do we produce this content? How do we have time to do it? How do we pay a staff of people to do it? I just am not picking out Brian here, but it just floors me. I want people to understand this stuff literally allows us to do the content that you enjoy. And it's still way less. I listen to podcasts all the time. It's less than most podcasts, and it's absolutely less than radio. There's no comparison. So if you don't like it, don't feel like you have to listen for sure, but it's something that we got to do. watching Scott sell the Manscaped ads, and we try to make them as fun for y'all as we possibly can, but we also believe in these businesses, and we want to give them the time that they deserve as well too. So appreciate the shout outs, Brian, but I definitely want you to be aware of that and aware of why we do what we do. It isn't just fluff. We do it so we can keep producing
John,
this content for y'all.
I hate to say it, I really have not done my Patriots game prep yet. I should do that on Wednesdays. I was a little busy today. I know you were too. Our whole Pewter Report staff was cranking out a ton of content on a very busy Richard Sherman news day. So I'm going to have, I can tell you a score that I think is going to happen, but I really can't dive into the X's.
Well, we're going to preview the game tomorrow, so we can.
Good,
I mean, maybe not you and I, because I know you were trying to protect the vocal cords for Sunday.
I'll have to watch it. You have to watch it to get some.
But Matt and I will be on, and we're going to preview this one. We're going to break it down, and we're going to look at, just like we would normally do on Wednesdays, non-Richard Sherman signing Wednesdays. So we're going to break it down, and we're going to talk about a lot of the elements to this one, including how do these guys match up. I want to look at that a lot. Is it going to be a man coverage or zone coverage scheme mostly for the Bucs against rookie Mac Jones? How do they match up on that front? What are the strengths of the Patriots do bring to the table? And then low key, Patriots pass defense, I think they're number one in the league. They're definitely up there right now. I know they've played very bad quarterback. I'm not, I know who they've played in terms of quarterbacks, but
too. That's where they got their only win.
Yeah, they've got a lot of picks this year
against the Jets.
Right. So I think that this is going to be a different test for them, but I still think this is a very good coverage scheme, and it's going to be tough sledding, I think, for the Bucs offense, at least defensively. Bucs need a big day. They should bounce back really strong. So all that'll be on tomorrow's show.
Yeah.
And then
I'm going to give you my pick right now.
Oh, you are?
I do feel confident with the pick. You can save yours for tomorrow with Matt. But I think it's time that the Buccaneers get back to 30 points, because I think that's the only way they can win, is if they score 30 points. Unless the defense remarkably gets better overnight, which is not going to happen, but it'll get healthier. This is a bounce-back game. This is a get-healthy game for the Bucs in the secondary. So I'm going to say the Buccaneers get 30 points on the board, 3-0. Yeah. And they're going to win 30-23. And I think this is going to be a closer game than people think. Belichick knows Brady and is going to do some things to annoy him. Brady might throw a pick or two in this game, wouldn't surprise me, just because conceptually Brady will face Belichick, and those guys know each other in and out.
There'll be some chess matches here for sure.
No doubt. So I'm saying 30-23, and because I think the line right now is 7, because I got in on the -6.5 Bucs bet on my bookie yesterday. I'm going to win that. So I like that.
For sure. No, I appreciate it. And Big Earn, appreciate the $5 super chat. These ads aren't that bad. Transitions are seamless. 5 out of 5 flags would listen again.
That's great. And we learned how to do those segues and seamless transitions from the best Mark Cook. So Mark Cook's legacy still lives on. He taught us well.
Think about him every transition.
Every transition and every day, every time we do a podcast. That guy is top of mind.
Absolutely, for sure. So if you haven't yet, check out the articles that are on pewterreport.com that went up today, because there's a ton that have gone up. Scott himself wrote like 15 articles about Richard Sherman covering this thing from a lot of angles. So, and we'll have more tomorrow up about comparing Brady in the Bruce Arians offense to Brady in the Belichick.
That's going to be the good matchup. X's No show preview tomorrow. Usually it's Wednesday, but preview tomorrow. Matt and John will be handling all of the matchup between Bucs and Patriots.
So appreciate y'all. Subscribe to Pewter Report. Hit the like button. We'll see y'all tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern, for another edition of the Pewter Report podcast. Out.